I carried only one small black suitcase. The morning air outside was very cold. Many cameras flashed bright lights at my face. Many reporters stood close outside the building. They shouted loud questions at me. I did not stop for them. I did not look back at all. The building was tall and very beautiful. It stood in the middle of Manhattan. We lived on the very top floor. People called that floor the penthouse. That morning I left it for good. The reporters pushed in very close to me. One man put a microphone near my face. Another reporter shouted, "Mrs. Aurora, why do you leave?" I did not answer him. I looked straight ahead at the street. My face was still and calm. My eyes stayed dry the whole time. I heard the word fraud on the radio. The news was everywhere that morning. People called it a very big scandal. Clytus built a very large company. Many people trusted him with their money, but he lied to all of them. He took billions of dollars from people. The police found out about his crimes. He lost everything in his bankruptcy. That was the start of his downfall. I saw Clytus near the front door. 2 police officers stood on each side. They put metal handcuffs on his wrists. Clytus turned and looked at me. His eyes were wet and very scared. He looked very small to me. I did not know that man anymore. I turned my head and walked to the street. A yellow taxi waited for me there. I put my suitcase inside the taxi. I sat down on the back seat. The taxi drove away from the building. I did not wave at anyone. I did not cry one single tear. People on the street stopped and watched me. Some people took photos with their phones. I saw their faces through the car window. I saw anger on all their faces. I looked at the news on my phone. One headline said, "Cold wife leaves husband on worst day." Another headline said, "Gold digger runs from sinking ship." Social media was full of angry comments. People wrote terrible things about me online. Some people called me cold-blooded and cruel. Some people said I only loved his money. Many people said I waited to run away. I read all the words very carefully. I did not feel very much at all. That surprised me very much. But that morning I did not feel sad. I did not feel angry. I did not feel hurt. I only felt very, very tired inside. People did not know my full story. They saw one simple thing outside. They decided one simple truth for themselves. I walked out with a small suitcase. Clytus went away in handcuffs. So I was the cold and bad person. That answer felt very simple to them, but my life was not simple at all. Clytus was very rich. Yes, we lived in a very beautiful place. We had money for everything we wanted. I wore nice and expensive clothes. Our life looked perfect from the outside, but I was not happy inside. He was not a good man at the end. I looked out the taxi's window. The city moved fast all around me. The sun came up over the tall buildings. To me, it was the end of a very long time. My suitcase sat right next to me. I did not take my diamond jewelry. I did not take the expensive bags. I only took my clothes and some important papers. But the reason was not what people thought. The taxi driver looked at me in his mirror. I did not care about that. I looked down at my own hands. My hands were steady and very still. I felt very calm inside my body. People called me cold-blooded because I did not cry, but they did not see the night before. I cried alone in the bathroom that night. I cried for the man Clytus was before. I cried for the life we lost together. I stopped and I washed my face, and I made a very big decision. That morning I walked out of the building. I did not leave because Clytus lost his money. I did not leave because his bank had no money. I walked out because I had a real reason, but I was not ready to tell anyone yet. The taxi stopped at a red traffic light. I looked out the window at the street. A woman read the news on her phone. She looked up slowly and saw me. Then she shook her head at me. I looked away from her face. 3 years before that morning, I got married to Clytus. Our wedding was very big and beautiful. Many important people came to the church. I wore a long white dress. Clytus smiled at me the whole day. He looked so kind and warm then. We moved into the penthouse right after. The rooms were very large and bright. Every piece of furniture cost a lot. I ran my hand along the cold marble walls. I told myself this was a good life, but I was not a simple girl before that day. People did not know that about me. I studied economics at a top university. I worked for a financial firm for 4 years. I was good at my job. I liked numbers and I liked to solve hard problems. My work gave me real joy every day. Clytus asked me to stop my work after the wedding. He said I did not need a job anymore. He said he had enough money for both of us. He said my new job was to look beautiful. He said I had to stand next to him at every event. He called me his perfect partner. I said yes to him. I gave up my career. At first, our life looked very good. We went to big parties in the Hamptons every weekend. Clytus introduced me to very powerful people. I wore diamond necklaces and long gowns. We sat at long tables with candles and fine food. People smiled at me and shook my hand. But I was only a decoration to them. I felt that truth very quickly. I had no real work to do every day. I had no real problems to solve. I only had to shop and look nice. My mind felt empty and very slow. But I told myself it was enough. I tried to believe that for a long time. One afternoon, Clytus went out for a meeting. I stayed at home in the penthouse. I walked into his private study by accident. The door was not fully closed. His big desk sat near the window. Some papers were on top of the desk. I did not plan to look at them, but one paper caught my eye right away. The numbers on the paper were very strange. The names on the paper were names I did not know. One paper showed a bank account a far country. Another paper showed a very large amount of money, but the name on that account was not Clytus's name. I felt something wrong inside my body. I sat down in his chair. I read the papers more carefully. My hands started to shake a little. I put the papers back on the desk. I walked out of the study fast. I sat in the big living room alone. I looked out at the city below. I felt afraid, but I was not sure why. Something was very wrong with those papers. That night I waited for Clytus to come home. I sat at the dinner table and I waited. He came home and he kissed my cheek. I asked him about the papers in his study. His face changed very fast. I said to him very clearly, "Clytus, please stop. This is dangerous. It is not too late." I was calm and direct. I did not shout at all. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he smiled. But the smile was not kind. He said, "Your job is to spend money and look beautiful. Your job is not to teach me. You do not build a fortune. I do." His voice was cold and flat. I felt very small in that moment. After that night, Clytus changed. He was not sweet anymore. He controlled all the money in our house. He checked me phone sometimes. He told me who I could see and talk to. My old friends slowly stopped calling me. My family felt very far away. I was alone in a very expensive place. He gave me more diamonds. He gave me more shopping trips. He gave me more beautiful things, but those things were not real love. They were a way to keep me quiet. I understood that slowly over time. I was a trophy wife now. I sat at his side at dinners. I smiled at his business partners. I wore beautiful clothes to every event, but inside I felt like a person in a very nice cage. The cage was gold and bright on the outside, but it was still a cage. My intuition told me the truth every day. The papers in his study were just the first sign. I saw more small signs after that. But I did not know the full picture yet. I only knew that something very wrong grew inside our life, and Cletus did not plan to stop. We ate dinner together every night. The table was long and dark brown. It was a very beautiful table. 2 candles burned in the middle. The food was always very good, but our dinners were not happy at all. Cletus sat at one end of the table. I sat at the other end. We did not talk very much. The room felt cold and very quiet. Sometimes only the sound of a fork broke the silence. We sat close in the same room, but inside we were very far apart. One evening, Cletus came home very late. He looked tense and distracted at dinner. He did not eat very much food. He looked at his phone many times. I watched him from my end of the table. I said nothing to him then. Later that night, I went to his study. I saw papers on his desk again. I did not plan to look, but I saw one name on the top paper. The name was Marcus. I knew Marcus. He worked for Cletus at the company. He was a young man and a quiet person. He was always very polite to me. I read more of the paper. My stomach felt very bad. Cletus planned to put a dirty deal on Marcus. Marcus did not do the bad thing, but Cletus planned to use his name. Cletus wanted to escape trouble, so it chose Marcus. An innocent person had to take the punishment. I put the paper down. I walked back to our bedroom. I sat on the bed for a long time. My heart felt very heavy. This was not a small mistake. This was a plan to hurt an innocent man. I decided to talk to Cletus that night. I went back to the living room. Cletus sat on the sofa with a glass of wine. I sat down across from him. I looked at him directly, and I started to speak. I said, "Cletus, I know about Marcus." His eyes moved to my face fast. I did not stop. I said, "Return the money. Tell the truth to everyone. We can start again with nothing. We only need our honesty." My voice was calm, but I felt desperate inside. I wanted him to listen to me. I wanted him to choose the right thing. I still had a small hope inside my heart. I thought maybe he could change. Cletus put his wine glass down on the table. He looked at me for a long moment. His face was very hard. Then he stood up from the sofa. He walked toward me slowly. His eyes were angry and cold. He said in a loud voice, "You think you can tell me what to do?" He pointed a finger at me. His voice got louder. He said, "If you speak one word about this, you lose everything. You have no job. You have no money of your own. You have nothing." He stopped for a moment. Then he said, "No one believes an unemployed wife over me. Nobody." I did not move. I kept my eyes on his face. My hands were very still on my lap, but inside I felt something break. It was not fear. It was something much worse. I saw the truth very clearly in that moment. The man I married 3 years ago was kind. He was smart and he was warm. He made me laugh in those early days. I trusted him with my whole heart, but that man was gone now. The person in front of me was different. This person chose corruption over honesty. This person chose money over conscience. This person chose his ego over an innocent man's life. I spoke one more time. My voice was quiet but very clear. I said, "I am not afraid of you, Cletus." I stood up from my chair. I said, "I am sad for you." Then I walked to our bedroom. That night I did not cry. I lay on my side of the big bed. The room was very dark and very quiet. I thought about Marcus. He had a family. He had a good job. He did nothing wrong at all, but Cletus planned to destroy his life. My conscience told me one very clear thing. I could not stay quiet anymore. I thought about integrity. My father always talked about that word. He said, "Your integrity is the most important thing." He said, "Money and power go away, but your integrity stays with you always." I believed those words my whole life. Cletus did not have integrity anymore. He lost his moral compass a long time ago. I saw that truth very clearly now. I could not save him from himself. He did not want to be saved. I made a new decision in the dark that night. It was not an easy decision, but it was the right decision. I knew that in every part of my body, I closed my eyes. I did not sleep for a long time. The next morning, I woke up early. The bedroom was still dark and quiet. Cletus slept on his side of the bed. I looked at the ceiling for a long time. My mind was clear and very calm. I had a plan inside my head. I did not go shopping that week. I did not call my usual driver for trips. I stayed home most of the day. Cletus did not notice this change. He was busy with his phone and his meetings. He did not watch me very closely then. I started my work in small, careful steps. Cletus kept files on his laptop computer. He kept more files in his study. He thought I did not understand those files, but I studied finance for many years. I knew exactly what those numbers meant. I started to copy the important files. I did this slowly and very carefully. I copied only a few files each day. Cletus made many phone calls at home. He talked loud sometimes in the study. I started to record some of those calls. I used a very small device. I put it in a quiet spot in the room. Cletus did not see it at all. He talked freely on his phone. He said many important things out loud. I kept all the files and recordings safe. I did not store them in our penthouse. I used a small USB drive for the files. I kept it in a safe place outside. I was very careful every single day. I found a lawyer on my own. She was not Cletus's lawyer. She was not Cletus's friend. She worked far from our building. I took the subway to her office. I did not take our driver. I did not tell Cletus about my trip. I met her 2 times in her small office. I showed her some of the documents. She listened to me very carefully. She told me about a group called the SEC. The full name was the Securities and Exchange Commission. They investigated financial crimes. She said they needed strong evidence. So I worked harder to gather more. I met a man from the SEC one afternoon. We sat in a small coffee shop downtown. He had a quiet voice and kind eyes. He asked me many careful questions. I answered every question with full honesty. He looked at the files I brought. He said the evidence was very important. I felt a small relief inside my chest, but every evening I went back home. I sat at the long dinner table with Cletus. I smiled at his jokes. I asked about his day. I acted like a good and simple wife. This was the hardest part of my days. My face stayed calm and still, but my heart felt very heavy inside. Cletus felt very safe during those weeks. His ego was very big at that time. He thought he was smart and untouchable. He did not look at me very closely. To him, I was just a quiet and obedient wife. That made my work much easier. Then I found something very bad. I looked at a new set of documents one night. Cletus left them on his desk by mistake. I saw my own name on one paper. I read the paper 2 times very slowly. My hands started to shake a little. Cletus put my name on some illegal documents. He wrote my signature on the papers. I did not sign those papers myself, but my name was on them. His plan was very clear to me. If the police came for him, he planned to point at me. I was his scapegoat. He wanted me to take his punishment, his own wife. I sat very still at his desk. I felt anger rise inside me, but I pushed it down fast. Anger was not useful to me then. I needed to stay calm and focused. I took a photo of the paper. I put it with all my other evidence. That night, I understood one big truth. I did not just gather evidence for other people. I also gathered evidence to protect myself, because Clytus planned to take me down with him, but I did not plan to let him do that. That night felt different to me. I put on a simple dress. I walked to the living room. Clytus sat on the big sofa. A glass of whiskey was in his hand. The bottle sat on the table. He looked very relaxed and happy. He had no idea about my plan. I stood near the doorway for a moment. I looked at him one last time. He laughed at something on his phone. He refilled his glass with more whiskey. He felt very safe and very powerful that night. He felt like nothing bad could touch him. I walked to the table in front of him. I put a folder of papers on it. The papers made a small flat sound. Clytus looked down at them slowly. Then he looked up at my face. He said, "What is this?" His voice was relaxed still. I said, "Divorce papers. Please read them." Clytus looked at the papers for a moment. Then he smiled at me. It was not a kind smile at all. He picked up his glass again. He leaned back on the sofa. He said, "You leave me now? At this time?" He laughed a short laugh. He said, "You walk away with nothing. Only the clothes on your back. That is all you get from me." He thought my reason was money. He thought I was afraid of bankruptcy. He thought I ran away from a poor man. His face showed total mockery. His eyes looked at me with zero respect. In his mind, I was just a simple woman. In his mind, I understood nothing at all. I looked at him for a quiet moment. I did not feel anger in my body. I felt something much softer than anger. I felt real sadness for him, and I felt a deep and clear pity. I said to him in a calm and steady voice, "I do not leave because you lose your money." I took one small breath. Then I said, "I leave because I sent the USB drive to the prosecutors. I sent it 2 hours ago. It has all the evidence inside." Clytus stopped, smiled as disappeared from his face. He put his glass down on the table. He looked at my eyes very hard. I did not look away from him. My face stayed very still and calm. I said, "The documents, the files, the phone calls, all of it went to them." I watched his face change. The color left his face fast. His hands gripped the sofa. He stood up from his seat. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. For the first time in a long time, Clytus had no words at all. He pointed at me. His hand shook. He said, "You did this to me?" His voice came out very strange and small. I said, "I did this for the people you hurt. You took their money. You planned to destroy Marcus. You put my name on your crimes." I looked straight at him. I said, "I chose those people. I chose my own conscience. I did not choose your money." Clytus sat back down. He looked very small on that big sofa. The powerful man was gone from his face. His empire came down, and the person who did it was the woman he never looked at closely. The wife he called just a decoration, the woman he tried to make his scapegoat. I picked up my copy of the divorce papers. I walked toward our bedroom door. I did not look back at him. Behind me, Clytus said nothing more. True freedom. 6 months passed after that night. I moved into a small apartment on a quiet street. It was not big or fancy at all. The rooms were small and simple. But every morning the sun came through my window. It filled the whole room with warm yellow light. I liked that very much. I had no diamonds in my new home. I had no expensive bags or long gowns. My closet was small and very simple now. I had good clothes for work and warm clothes for home. That was all I needed. I worked at a small nonprofit organization near my apartment. The office was not big or beautiful. The desks were old and the chairs were not soft, but the people there were very kind and real. We helped families who lost their money to fraud. We helped people find legal support and good advice. My old skills from my finance years helped me every day. I felt useful again. I felt like myself again. Every morning I walked to work. The street was busy and full of life. I bought a coffee from a small shop on the corner. The man there knew my name. He always smiled and said, "Good morning." Small things like that made me very happy. One morning I walked past a newsstand. Many newspapers sat in a row. I saw a big headline on the front page. The words said, "Clytus gets 20 years in prison." I stopped for a moment. I read the words one more time. Then I looked at the smaller words below the headline. They called me the heartless wife who left her husband alone. I stood there for a short moment. Then I smiled. I paid for one coffee. I walked on to work. The world did not know my full story. The world only saw what it wanted to see. People chose a simple answer. To them, I was a cold and bad woman. That was their picture of me. I could not change their picture, and I did not need to change it. I knew my own truth. That was enough for me. Every night I went home to my small apartment. I ate a simple dinner at my small table. I read a book or I listened to music. Then I went to bed. I closed my eyes and I slept very well all through the night. I did not wake up in fear. I did not wake up with a heavy heart. I slept soundly every single night. My father said one true thing to me when I was young. He said, "Real wealth is not in a bank. Real wealth is in your heart and in your choices." He said, "A rich person walks down the street with their head up high." I walked to work every morning with my head up. The sun was warm on my face. My heart was light and free inside my chest. I was not rich in money anymore, but I was free, and that was everything. I appreciate you being here and listening quietly. If one small detail stayed in your mind, please press like. You can share this video with a friend, a learner, or anyone who loves stories. And don't forget to subscribe to Kaviko English Story. Subscribing is free, but it helps us grow and keep telling stories. Turn on the bell so you won't miss the next one. A new story is coming soon.